Hey guys, Tiller here. I am 2 hours into Shin Megami Tensei V, so I thought I would give my first impressions of the game, as I tend to do. So, for those of you who don't know, Shin Megami Tensei V is Atlus's latest JRPG entry on the Switch. It is currently Switch exclusive. Don't know if it'll be headed to other platforms, as it has shown up in a few other places, interestingly enough. But regardless of that, this is my first SMT game. I have not played any of the other games in the series. I have a brief general understanding of the series. As far as I know, it is the parent series to the Persona franchise, and it is a turn-based game that focuses more on gameplay than story if you are going to compare the two. And I don't think that's a big deal, since the gameplay's pretty good. I think if I have to mention any gripes off the bat, I'd say that the way it runs is a little bit... It's not bad. There are some, stutters, but it's nothing major. Usually when you're opening a menu or the battle shifts to the EXP screen, there's a slight stutter for half a second. Doesn't really affect the gameplay, so it's fine. Gameplay runs mostly smooth, and at least in docked, its performance is perfectly fine. In terms of the story, I have no clue what's going on, or I kind of understand it, but 2 hours in, not really a lot of explanation provided for what I believe to be about a 50-hour-ish game. The combat's fairly simple, fairly easy to understand. It's a decent amount of fun, and it provides a good amount of general interactivity, I'd say, since you have the system of hitting weaknesses, gives you an extra turn. However, that turn is the way the turns work is that you go through each of your characters and then it shifts back or loops around, right? So you go through protagonist, 3 demons, and then you shift back to protagonist again. So the demon recruitment's pretty interesting, if not a little confusing, because I'm not good at the negotiation conversations, because you have to negotiate with the demons in order to get them to join you, and that is a process that I do not totally have a handle on yet, as I also didn't really have a handle on it when I played most of the Persona games. I just used the threaten option because I'm not into negotiation stuff. But anyways, the soundtrack's fine so far. Might just not be my thing, I'd say. It might be one of those things where I'm kind of, whatever about it. Not super into it, not really against it either, so it's fine from that perspective. I'd say if we want to critique voice acting's fine so far. You have your pretty, somewhat standard JRPG cast members, anime voice cast members, because that's the way English VA works and all that, which is fine. And yeah, I'm enjoying the game, though I would like to progress more into the story. I know that SMT games are known for their difficulty, and if I try to rush too much, I will probably dig myself into a deep ditch of having to level up. Anyway, I've already wiped once. That was fun. I was fighting an enemy, and I guess I was underleveled. I only had 2 party members at the time, and I wiped because, yeah, that's a fun experience. I've gotten the first subquest, haven't completed it yet. There is also there are essence fusions, which let you fuse demons, or not necessarily fuse them, but you kind of fuse their powers, so you can add skills to another demon you already have, which is useful, though I haven't really used it yet, since I didn't want to give up any of the skills that I had currently. And I think the points and glory, the glory system, which lets you level up different or give the main character different skills, is actually pretty useful, though it does require you to go around and collect stuff. Speaking of going around and collecting stuff, the world seems... I understand the scale of it. I'm not sure how open worldy it gets, or if these are just open areas. I'm assuming it's open areas and not open worlds, because it's a Switch game, and we don't get a lot of open world games on that system. But I think that it's a nice thing for scale. Sometimes it feels a little too vast, since you're constantly jumping into turn-based battles, so it takes you off the... I don't want to say out of the action, but kind of. So every enemy that's on the map is a separate mob, right? So if you kill one, there's probably still going to be another left over, or at least that's what I've experienced so far. So there are a lot of fights, and it kind of not necessarily breaks the flow, because it's not really an issue, I'd call it. It's just an interesting choice to have this giant world and then scale back down into battles, and then you come out and you do another battle, and then you travel some relative distance. Sometimes it feels like there's either a lot of enemies in one place, but you don't have to fight them all. So I've just been fighting them all because I want to have a upper hand later in the game, which is probably still going to come and bite me in the ass, because I get tempted to push story when things get good, and I assume the story will be more interesting as time passes. But that is going to be it for my first impressions for SMT 5. It's only 2 hours into the game, so, you know, not really a great base to go off of, I suppose. It's a longer game, so it'll probably need more time to pick up. Though the story, I'll admit, does go pretty... like, from the start, there's not a lot of, like, time in between that and building up to the game, like, the core gameplay of the turn-based combat, whereas Persona did have... God, I hate comparing the two, but Persona did have, like, several hours in between to reach, like, the main stuff, but this is a fairly different game, and I think that's a good thing. So anyways, if you enjoy the video, please leave a like. If you want to see my full review for the game, probably by the end of next week, you can sub to the channel to get notifications for when that goes up. And otherwise, this has been Tiller, and I'll see you guys next time.